Here are 5 basic tiny Glade tips that all beginners should know. Number 1. Whenever you start a new map, you should always clear out all the trees, just so you know how big the space actually is that you can work with. Otherwise, it just feels too cramped, and when you go and look at other people's builds, it seems like they have a way bigger area than you. But yet, in reality, we all have the same amount of space. And that brings us right to number 2. When you are first starting out and you build your first house, there's a lot of tools at your disposal that you could use. For example, there is the windows, which when placed on the wall, creates a window. You can expand them to a tier 2 or a tier 3 window. So you can't go any larger than that. Plus, also, if you were to grab the window with left click and bring it down to the bottom, you can actually create a door with that tier number. So, for example, here's a tier 1 door, a tier 2, and then the tier 3. Also in this is arrow slits. There's lanterns, banners, and chimneys. But what a lot of new people actually don't do is start decorating their house with other buildings. So like what you can do is you can make a little tiny second entranceway. Like this. And then you can place the path over all the unwanted grass. And now you have a second entrance into your house that looks just as good. And let's say I actually didn't want it on the ground like this. I want it a lot smaller. After right clicking on the building, I'll grab the bottom node, I'll raise it up, and then I'll adjust the size using these 4 directional arrows kind of in the middle of the build. I'll push it in, make it smaller, bigger, whichever I'd like. Then I'll grab the top arrow at the very top, make the roof smaller. And then I'll grab this node, the top node, to make the overall building smaller. And then after some fine tuning with using all these nodes, you can end up something similar to this. And now you have a little design on top of your roof that you can now place a window. You can also place a door, whichever you like to add to it. So adding these little type of things to your buildings can add to your overall house and overall aesthetic. A prime example of this is this world that I'm currently working on is, as you can see, I'm adding in balconies, I'm adding in extra floors, I'm adding towers, I'm adding this type of building to have a little window that's extended outside of the house. I can have a separate entrance. You can do so much in this game. Just take your time. Number 3 is fences and walls. These can be pretty tricky. So these can be found in the first tab and the 3rd and 4th option. So the walls just look like straight walls. Fences are, you guessed it, fences. If you right click on it, you'll get more options, just like when you're doing a house. So you have your move tool, then you have these nodes on the sides, which you can make it bigger or smaller. You can also cut. If you put your mouse underneath or in between these dotted lines, you can actually cut where you want the fence to be. So now, instead of having one big segment of fence, I have 3 smaller segments. Exact same with the wall. And now, so if you wanted them all together, but you wanted the end one to be taller, what you do is just right click on it, see the solid line, and bring it up. But now, if you were to draw a path through the fence, you can now see it becomes a fence gate. Also the exact same with a wall, it will become an arch. Is you now have 2 ways to raise and lower it. So you now have the one that we're familiar with the right click, and you can raise lower. But this one mainly only does the fence. It doesn't really do the gate at all. You can also, without right clicking or left clicking, just put your mouse in the middle of the gate, the opening, and you'll see the square, and you can raise and lower it. So if this fence gate was not attached to any fences at all, I can now grab the solid line, bring it all the way down, put my mouse in the middle, and bring it all the way down. So now it is super close to the ground. And this is kind of your building block to creating other fantastic things with Number 4 is path. The path can be used in a lot of different ways. Like we've seen before, you can use it to create doors. Did you know that you can also create arches with the path? It's the exact same way that you would do with the door. You just run it through. Now we have a door, but then now just expands the path all the way around the building, and you start getting arches. When you bring down the building all the way down to its base level like this, if you were to run a path up to it, it'll create stairs. You can do that all the way around. This is a great way to make a platform for anything. You can make a platform for your next house, and it looks great. All you need to do is just raise up your house using the bottom node to where you like it, say right there, and now you have a house that is now on a foundation. Number 5 we're all talking about is roofs. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with roofs. So as you can see here, I have a flat surface on the front on both sides. Well, did you know you can actually get rid of that? So if you right click on it and you see this arrow and this arrow at the top of the roof, this will actually bring it in and will bring it closer and bring it further away from the center. So all the way out gives you the flat look. As you start moving in, you can tell that the angle of the roof gets sharper all the way until we meet in the middle, and it puts a little spike at the top that you could put like a flag in, for example. Before you get to the spike at the top, there's also this little rotate arrow. So if you rotate it, it'll rotate what way your building is quote unquote facing, but it's just what way the roof is facing. There's also the extremely common one that a lot of people know of is the up arrow, which is just to raise and lower the roof. But did you also know that there's also another one where if you were to hold your mouse over the roof, and you can see that there's 4 arrows around my mouse. If you were to left click and hold, going left and right makes the roof either circular or kind of like concave. And then up and down is just like when you hold or when you click right click and using this up arrow. If you were to grab your paint tool, click on the building as a whole, switch it to wood, you now get this kind of canopy overhang on the roof. And even when it's still in this state, again, you can raise and lower the roof to your desired height to make a bunch of great different type of roofing options. Hopefully you learned something new and you can start elevating your building. If I missed any basic tips, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks and have a good day.